welcome back to Film Live at IBC 2015. I'm still here on the Sony stand to look at another new camera, which is the FS5. If you remember, we were here last year where we talked about the FS7, and I think it's fair to say the FS5 is its little baby brother. But here to tell us a little bit more about it is Forrest. Hi Forrest, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing fine, thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Good.
So last year you guys had the FS7, this year you've got the FS5. It's a bit of a smaller camera, but what else is different?
Right, so it's the little brother, and it is indeed smaller. I'll begin with small actually, because it is way lighter as well. The actual body is 800 grams, okay, 0.8 kilograms. So it really makes it another camera in a sense that it can have many other usages. And we, of course, will think about drones and gimbals and stuff that really requires a very lightweighted camera. So in this sense, it's a new camera. Now on the other side, it still shares the same sensor and the same lens mount as the FS7. So many people will actually also consider it as a B camera for another FS7 production, or F5 for that matter. It also shares the same sensor.
And then the FS7 is quite well known for the amounts of different recording options that you've got on that camera, both internally and by using external boxes on the back of it as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I believe it's a little bit different with this one. We're using different media rather than the XQVC cards. It's SD card with this one. So what kind of recording options do we have with that?
Okay, so one of the advantages of the XQD card is it's a very fast card. Some people refer it as the mini S/S card. It's actually as fast as an S/S. So it's real fast SSDs. Now the SD cards are actually much slower, so we have limitations here. And one of the first limitations you'll see is that 4K recording is available, but at a reduced pace. You can only do 25 or 30p in 4K. And that would also be in 420 recording. So there's a limitation on the 4K recording, although 4K is there. Now HD is recordable up to 50 frames per second, 42 10-bit broadcast quality. So there's no limitation for SD on its own. It is, however, XAVC long GOP only. Same reasons for the bandwidth necessary with the card. You will also find another limitation is with the super slow motion. Now it's the same sensor, so it will do 240 frames per second, should you want it to do, but the card will not sustain the rate. So it will actually have a buffer system. Those that know the FS700 probably know already this buffer system. It's a 10 to 20 seconds buffer. It's actually enough to do most of the stuff you want to do it. So for people who actually used it, it's very usable, and you can get some very, very clean, super slow motion stuff, full HD, and with a great difference compared to the FS700 is that this time it's in 42 10-bit XAVC recording. So the super slow motion has got no trade-off as far as compression goes.
Sure. So there's no drop in quality or anything like that you tend to get with those other cameras. And what kind of frame rate is that?
So it will handle up to 240 frames per second in full HD. Now there is the extended 400 and 800 frames per second, which is available, but that will be at reduced quality. So 480 lines or even lower, maybe SD quality for the 960 frames per second. So we really speak about 240 because this is full HD, no compromise.
Okay, so the internal recording is a little bit more limited than the FS7, but I'm guessing you can still take a feed out of the camera into an external recorder?
Absolutely.
Do you know what you get out of that SDI out?
Okay, so the SDI output will output a full 10-bit full HD quality signal, totally uncompressed. So should you want to record externally, you could go for other codecs, and maybe Apple ProRes or DNxHR, for instance. There are many options available, so many third-party recorders. Actually, we've got one here, set up here. Now, the 4K will output only through HDMI. So 4K can go out through the HDMI. It will be 42 recording, so it will be high quality too. And you can also feed it to a recorder that's able to record 4K. It has to be through the HDMI because the HDSDI does not handle the 4K resolution.
Okay, that's interesting. And then the controls and menus, I guess, are quite similar to the FS7, but I think there is one unique feature on this one, which is the variable ND. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how that works?
Absolutely. So the controls, as you can see them, are pretty close to what the FS7 is. So if you use the buttons of the FS7, you'll find the same buttons here. Now the real difference the one we actually like to show out is this ND filter. So the ND filter is not an actual ND filter wheel as you could have on other cameras. It's an electronic ND. When you engage it, you can electronically regulate the amount of ND, of neutral density. So it actually works with an LCD screen. It's LCD crystals that are flipped to take more or less light out of the flux. You can, however, work with presets, which will give you like the 4-position wheel you used to use, or you switch it to variable, and then you can really go from 1/4 to 1/28. So it's up to 7 stops of light reduced, from 2 to 7 stops, and it's really smoother. It's absolutely smooth. So it sort of behaves like an iris does. It means you can sort of set the iris for the depth of field and leave it as it, and do all of your light settings with the ND, the variable ND. Another advantage is it's really optically clear. It's actually very, very neutral, much more than even an actual ND filter. So it also filters out infrared light, so you get very clean, low light, infrared lit scenes, much better than you would have with an actual ND filter. So it's surprisingly good.
And I think even just having built-in NDs is a big deal in itself, but having that variable ND, it removes the need for having add-on things on top of the lenses and things like that. So I think that's a really interesting feature, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to enjoy using that. So that's great about the camera. What are we looking at shipping-wise, and do you know what the price point is?
Okay, so the list price is 5,800 euros. So this will be the Sony list price. Shipping is expected November or December. I don't have anything very precise.
So hopefully by the end of the year we'll start seeing these cameras out in the wild and seeing what kind of shots the camera guys out there are getting from it. But thank you very much for your time and giving us an overview of the camera. So there you have it, the Sony FS5 at IBC 2015. It's an interesting looking camera. It's a little bit smaller than I expected from the FS7. But that does open up a whole range of possibilities with attaching it to drones and getting into more tight spaces than you could with the FS7. And whilst the internal recording is a bit limited, you still can get that feed out the HDMI into the external recorder and then match with the shots that you get from the FS7 in ProRes or Avid DNx HD. So there you have it from the Sony stand. I'm going to head out back to the show floor. This is Film Live.